Masked Hero.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Marvel Champions list video. This week we are looking at the Nemesis minions that you do not want to pull with Face the Past. This list came to me because at Con of Heroes, Face the Past was everywhere. And initially I was thinking, why don't I make a list about minions you'd want to pull? And I realized that'd be actually a pretty boring list because it's just like, these are the minions that are easiest to take out with your hero. And instead, I wanted to flip it around and go, these are the ones that are actually going to be the biggest problem children. And I think this is also very relevant because we now have Kingpin, who will be pulling in your Nemesis minion on the first turn. And while it's not the same, it's kind of like throwing out a Face the Past on the first turn without even needing to use up the deck slot. Now, for the uninitiated, or maybe just those who are not watching the video and just listening to the audio, let's go over Face the Past real quick. It is a zero-cost basic event, max 1 per deck, with the hero action of search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for your Nemesis minion, and reveal it. Ready your hero and draw 3 cards. You cannot attack the villain this phase, remove this card from the game. So this is a one-shot effect that allows you to put your Nemesis minion into play, ready yourself up, and draw 3 cards. In many contexts, great exchange. With these 10 cards, I believe that it might be questionable unless you are fully ready to take on that Nemesis minion, which I hope you would be. Now, as always with these lists, it's completely my own opinions and taking into consideration different factors. It's entirely possible that the context is going to change and that these on somebody else's list would be moved wildly up and down. But without further ado, why don't we get to my number 10? So coming in at number 10, we have Nova's Nemesis, Warbringer. A 3-scheme, 1 attack, 5 hit point minion with the Brute and Chitauri traits, and the Force Interrupt of when Warbringer attacks you, he gets +1 attack for this attack for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. This attack gains Overkill. What put Warbringer on the map here is that Nova has a very low attack at 1. Additionally, his biggest attack is for 4. Meaning that while you do get a ready, you may be using it on a basic attack, and if you're lucky, using your attack event to take out Warbringer. Now, is that worth drawing 3 cards? It probably is. And additionally, you know that you can get rid of Warbringer at a time when it's most advantageous for that to happen. There could be things like in Kingpin, as an example, defeating minions is a strong effect. Now granted, also, Warbringer will already be in play, you'll have already dealt with him once, but maybe you can deal with him a second time. He goes to the discard pile, you're taking advantage of him, you pull him back out, you take advantage of him again, and it just helps you to progress through that scenario. But on the flip side, if you are not able to get rid of Warbringer on the first turn, you get too cocky, you think it's going to happen, and then something trips you up, you don't draw into your attack event, Warbringer is going to be a bad time. And you know, at the end of the day, Warbringer makes it at number 10. He's not the worst thing you can run into, but there are going to be situations where it just doesn't pan out, and suddenly you may have handicapped yourself without meaning to. But I also think that this is a good example of just setting the table for what we should be expecting, because Warbringer does not have Quick Strike, so you don't have to worry about the Forced Interrupt necessarily, and hopefully you can take him out before things get nasty. Moving on to my number 9, we have a look into the future as we look at Jessica Jones's nemesis, Purple Man. So Purple Man is a minion with Star Scheme, Star Attack, 6 hit points, and the Psionic trait. Purple Man's scheme is equal to the highest scheme or thwart among characters in play, and his attack is equal to the highest attack among characters in play. This is really kind of calling my shot here because we won't have Purple Man at least for another couple days from the time that this video is posted, but I do think that looking at Jessica Jones, seeing that her base attack is 2, seeing that it's entirely possible that you will be able to easily bump up your attack, but that her attack event only does 3, means that those 2 stats combined will not be able to take out Purple Man. I don't believe he should be that disruptive, but if you're not able to take him out, you may be in trouble. I think that his ability to take on the highest stats of characters in play means that he could be very disruptive. I do think he is absolutely a flavor win, and obviously people will already be aware of him from his inclusion in the Fear No Evil box, But I think just looking at him and kind of making assumptions as to how this could go, I can see it be very possible that Purple Man is going to be an issue. And I think it's really important over the course of this entire list to definitely take into account that you are getting that free ready. But is that ready solely going to be towards defeating this minion? And at that point, it does seem like a bit of a waste. You got this ready, but it was really just kind of fluff. It doesn't actually mean anything because you're just going to be exhausting yourself to do that attack anyway. But here's hoping that Jessica Jones will be able to take on Purple Man, because if you can't, I foresee him being a definite problem child for one of our newest heroes in the game. Next up at number 8, we have the nemesis minion of our lovely hero Angel, aka Archangel, aka Warren Worthington, and that is Harpoon, a 1 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit point minion with the Brute and Marauders traits. And the star ability on their attack of Harpoon gets +1 attack while attacking a character with the aerial trait. And the when revealed ability of discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an event. Take indirect damage equal to that event's printed cost. This of course matters because Harpoon will be revealed, so this is an extra snag. And it's entirely possible that Harpoon should be higher on this list. Angel has a low attack of 1, and Archangel has a base attack of 2. So there is, and not to mention the fact that Archangel is going to be able to take aerial events and hopefully take out Harpoon immediately. But again, either you have that event in your hand, or you're hoping to draw within those 3. Both of them are entirely possible, but we're leaving a chance of failure here. Additionally, we have the advantage of Angel's big attack event deals 6. We should be golden. Now, if there's any side teams in play that augment the amount of hit points that minions have or give them tough, that's a different problem altogether. Give them guard, it doesn't matter because we're not attacking the villain anyway. But just looking at how Harpoon is set up, you're taking a mystery amount of damage, especially because you're looking for events. Angel wants expensive events because he wants to be doing a lot of damage as Archangel. So this minion is not perfectly designed to be an absolute counter to Archangel, or Angel, I guess, either way. But I will say that it is fine-tuned to definitely hit you in weak spot and take advantage of your own deck building. And I think that's what really pushes Harpoon onto this list and into the number 8 spot. Moving up the list to number 7, we have Juggernaut out of Colossus's Nemesis pack. A 1 scheme, 4 attack minion with 8 hit points and the Brute and Elite traits. He has Stalwart and Toughness. And he has a boost ability of if this activation is an attack, it gains Overkill and Piercing. That's not going to be relevant to his first time coming into the game, but it is something to also take into account. You are now putting a card into the discard pile that will be shuffled back in and could very well be 2 boost icons, Piercing and Overkill, and that alone is already rough for Colossus because it's just taking out your tough status card. Looking at him from just the perspective of you are Colossus, you've now brought Juggernaut into play. Colossus cannot, at a base level, just take out Juggernaut. His base attack is 2, his biggest attack event, that's always going to be in his kit, which is why I'm favoring towards that. Obviously, that there's going to be events that you can put in, you're an aggression or whatever. Colossus isn't really an aggression hero, but it's possible. But his big attack event is for 5. So you're falling short of taking out Juggernaut. Not to mention the fact that you have toughness, so you have to break that tough before you can start to carve away at those hit points. All to say, without having to have a when revealed ability or a special ability on their attack or their scheming, Juggernaut is just a big body who's going to be absorbing at least 9 hit points because there's at least 1 to break the tough and then 8 to get through the rest of the way. And I think that is enough of a uphill battle that hopefully you either have a plan. I'm gonna bring in the Juggernaut. I'm gonna draw 3 cards. Your plan might be built around ignoring the Juggernaut and doing something else with those cards, taking that extra bit of card advantage to do some other part of your plan. Go find a card in your kit that you need. Go find an aspect card that you need. Look for, an X-Jet or something, and you're using the card advantage, knowing that you're going to switch down to Alter Ego and he's only going to scheme for one. You can take advantage of that, but you still have this looming threat on the battlefield that you need to figure out before the end of the game. Moving on to number 6. Coming from the Quicksilver Nemesis kit, we have Avalanche, a 1 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit point minion with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants trait. He has Insight 2, when revealed, place 2 threat on the main scheme, and a when revealed ability of each player must choose to either take 2 indirect damage or exhaust their identity. This one's rough. Quicksilver can sometimes just fall like a limp noodle, so you don't necessarily want to be taking 2 indirect damage, but exhausting your identity feels counterproductive because you can not have made a basic activation, you exhaust your identity, and then Face the Past readies you back up. So you can kind of dance around that. But now you've basically skipped an entire activation, and yes, you are getting a leg up on Avalanche, but it's not that simple. The benefit here is that you can attack for 1, you can use your attack event to deal 3 damage, you can get rid of Avalanche right away. But now you've taken 2 indirect damage or you've used up a basic activation, and on top of that you've added 2 threat to the main scheme. These are not insurmountable things, but these are the kind of things that you definitely need to plan around, which is what really rocketed Avalanche so high up onto the list. This was a dark horse for me. I wasn't even thinking about this, and then when I started to analyze every nemesis one by one, I went, "Oh, Avalanche might actually be a problem child here," which is what keeps him, which is what rocketed him into the top 10, but also keeps him at number 6. And if you're enjoying this content, maybe you've even watched more than one of my videos today, feel free to give me a subscription. That way you're aware of when I go live. You can see my posts with any updates on the channel. Maybe I'm going to be doing a live stream. Maybe I'm going to be putting out a video. Maybe I need a vote on what the next video needs to be. Any kind of support is great and deeply appreciated, but let's get back to the list. Moving on to number 5. We have, coming right out of the core set, with Black Panther, we have Killmonger, a 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit point minion with the Assassin, Elite, and Mercenary traits. And Killmonger cannot take damage from Black Panther upgrades. So that's going to be a real big wrench in your plans, which also means that because of the way that Black Panther's kit is set up, all you have to rely on is your 2 base attack and none of your Black Panther upgrades, which means you're also going to be relying on whatever aspect attack events you have, which is rough, to say the least. I know that this is definitely a minion that can be handled. He just has 5 hit points. There are so many attack events that handle that. And if you're playing this, you're not in Justice and looking for a way to deal damage with Waylay. You're probably in Aggression, maybe you're in Leadership, and you have a plan for this. But you need to have a plan for Killmonger. This is not something that you just go, yeah, I'll just play Face the Past, and we'll see what happens. That said, Black Panther can benefit from those 3 extra cards, can benefit from that extra activation. And really, you're only going to have 2 scheme or 2 attack to worry about. Of course, in many instances, that 2 scheme, that 2 attack can just really crumple your plans. It's not always as easy as just letting him just stay out and doing stuff that can drastically change the math in a low threat threshold main scheme, which is really what makes Killmonger an interesting thing, because you don't need to worry about him. He's fairly benign, but I think ignoring him and not having a game plan for him is going to result in you suddenly finding yourself in a situation that you weren't prepared for. And I really think that is the threat that Killmonger offers, is you don't think you need to handle him, and he's not a threat until all of a sudden he's definitely the threat. Next up, let's talk about what might be the most disruptive minion we've talked about thus far. Not saying something, because Avalanche actually proves to be fairly disruptive. Coming out of Adam Warlock's Nemesis kit, we have the Magus. He is a 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit point minion with the Elite and Mystic traits. He has Quick Strike and Toughness. Additionally, he has the force response of, after the Magus activates against you, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. So why this is important is that Face the Past is a hero action, which means he will quick strike, which means he will take the top 5 cards off of your deck. And, you know, he's attacking for 2, plus he's got toughness. Like, he is very much set up to make an impact immediately. To the point where I don't necessarily know that I would say that I would never do Face the Past against Adam Warlock. I would want to be very, very secure in what I was able to do before I let him enter play. Adam Warlock has a base attack of 1. That's enough to break the tough. But then his attack event does a base of 4. Now that shouldn't be a big deal, because you are almost certainly going to hit a card when you discard the top 4 cards off of your deck to deal that 5th point of damage and defeat him. There is a chance that you won't do that. You've already discarded 5 cards off the top of your deck to the Magus. You're going to discard 4 more, so you're probably going to find yourself getting an encounter card pretty quick here. And you actually can whiff. With 4 cards, it's very unlikely that you will. But believe me, as somebody who has sat at the table and watched a Shadow of the Past happen to Adam Warlock, sometimes you don't have the Karmic Blast. Hopefully you're setting yourself up for success here when you play Face the Past. It is 2 different instances, but it's entirely possible that you don't have Karmic Blast in your hand and you don't draw into it, or you do Karmic Blast and you don't hit something. Now, hopefully you don't have that high of threshold of basic cards in your deck, but it's a realistic possibility that could happen. That said, hopefully you do not run into these issues. Hopefully the Magus is just a passing thought in terms of what you're capable of doing. It's still a thing. It's a speed bump. It's going to mill you for some cards, and it's going to fundamentally change the pacing of your deck. And Adam Warlock is the kind of character that can get blown down and bounce back pretty easily, in my experience, but at the same time, I've also seen this go very poorly, and that's why the Magus makes it where he does on our list today. Moving into the top 3, we have another new inclusion into our pantheon of bad Face the Past targets. Coming out of Fear No Evil, out of Echo's Nemesis kit, we have Kingpin. He is a 3 scheme, 2 attack, 6 hit point minion with the criminal trait. He has the force interrupt of when Kingpin would attack the Maya Lopez player, he schemes instead. I have seen how his obligation and his side scheme can definitely be very problematic for Echo, because they make it so that Kingpin cannot take damage. So we should, in theory, try to take advantage of this by getting the Kingpin in without all of his resources, making it so all you have to do is deal 6 damage. My experience with Echo would point to the fact that you should have some sort of aspect card that is capable of dealing 6 damage and getting rid of Kingpin immediately. If you do not do that, you only have 2 attack. Your kit does not come with an attack event, so you're going purely off of aspect, which hopefully when you change from Maya to Echo, you've got that covered. But if you do not take Kingpin out, and he starts scheming for 3 every turn, you are going to find yourself very quickly losing the scenario. I've seen it happen so many times, especially when I get my obligation and it's just not the right time and I'm not set up. It's rough. Hopefully you are throwing out Face the Past, everything's working out perfectly, you are having a great game. But if you are not, just be warned. Kingpin will be an issue, and you will regret your decisions if you were not properly prepared for what was to come. Moving on to my number 2. This was a dark horse, again, that I didn't really think about, and then when everything kind of started to sync up, I went, I could actually see this being a big problem. So we have Maria Hill's Nemesis Controller. He is a 2 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit point minion with the elite and psionic traits. He is a force responsive after controller activates against you, remove 1 all-purpose counter from a support. If controlled innocence is in play, put the top card of your deck into play face down, engage with you as a controlled minion. So for the most part, this should not be a problem, because he's not going to have it's like Kingpin. He does not have all of his things that help to really kind of like make him into this machine that's going to be doing a lot of stuff to you. But Maria Hill only has an attack of 1. Again, like Echo, she does not have a attack event. She does have ways of dealing damage, but that would mean either A, you have a lot of supports in play, which you might, and you can just deal a mass amount of damage, or you can just throw the Iliad at controller and just take him out immediately. But that also does mean that you're setting yourself back. You're taking a valuable support and you're throwing it at your nemesis minion. All to say, this is the kind of minion that might just get to fester and stay in play, and I think that they are disruptive enough with enough hit points that this could get out of control. And you may find yourself regretting this, even with the card advantage, even with the extra ready. It might not be as simple as just taking the controller out, because things might not line up correctly, or you'll realize, you know what, actually I do need the Cersei to do what I'm trying to do, and putting in a ally and throwing them at the controller actually doesn't deal enough damage. All these options that come up, expensive allies, expensive supports, all these things, you should have an answer. The Iliad should be the answer to controller. But when it's not, when things don't line up correctly, you're going to regret letting him fester. And moving on to our number one, it was not a surprise at all. The second I thought of this list, I realized this is almost certainly going to be my number one, and that is Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is a 2-scheme, 2-attack, 12 hit point minion with the Cosmic Entity and Elite traits. They have Steady, Toughness, and Villainous. And when Dark Phoenix schemes, place that threat on Consume the World if able, and when revealed, which they will be revealed, search the encounter deck discard pile and set aside area for Consume the World and reveal it. So this is a minion that when you play Face the Past, you will be putting in a 12 hit point minion and a side scheme that is an alternate loss condition. I am not sure how Dark Phoenix handles the Kingpin scenario, where this just starts out in play. I have not played that yet. I have not heard anybody bring up what that is like. What I will say is, I have never seen a Phoenix player do Face the Past, because it so dramatically changes the way that the game's going. Now, is it possible that you've burned up your counters and the Phoenix Force has now flipped and you are now dealing 3 damage? That does make it a little bit more possible. Her biggest attack is for 7. You have the tools to handle Dark Phoenix. But, again, I will state, you are putting in a 12 hit point minion and an alternate loss condition. You are asking for trouble. And at the end of the day, I don't know if there is a minion that could even compete with Dark Phoenix in this. I feel like just in terms of a Face the Past score, Phoenix is like miles beyond the other characters we've talked about today. And so that is what definitively makes her number one, without a doubt. But that is my list for the day. What minions would you have on this list? What did I forget? What did I not factor in? Let me know in the comments, and why don't you check out another video like the one on screen. But until next time, thank you so much for your time. I want you to have a great day, and remember, you are doing great. Keep it up.